So what we'll be doing is these code words, and two things about code words. One, they can be used to write melodies, and the simplest way to write a melody and make up a melody is to use what is known as an isorhythm. Iso as in isolation. And an isorhythm is exactly what we saw Bach do in that Bourrier piece where he's going Tarzan drum, 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 Tarzan drum. Right? That's obviously an isorhythm. 99% of the piece was written with that point rhythm, and then he would do little rhymes with it. Tarzan, Tarzan, Tarzan drum. Those little things on endings.
Jethro Tull got a hold of it.
Jethro Tull did it. Who was his name? Bearshits in the Wood or something? What was the name of the album? Tull in the Woods or something?
It was a nice flute solo.
Yeah, it was a great flute solo, and he did his own little jazz rendition, and he just jazzed up the rhythms. As he turned it into a code word we're going to learn later. So let's say I have a simple rhythm like a drum, Tarzan, Tarzan, drum. Angel, you want to get here to the keyboard?
Okay.
And this is on, all you have to do is turn your things on and adjust your volume. Angel's going to play just a scale, just a C major scale.
Okay.
And you're going to play up and down in the C major scale, but use this rhythm, drum, Tarzan, Tarzan, drum, as your melody rhythm. Just play up and down, playing the melody, doing consecutive notes, doing some skips, but keep this rhythm going.
Okay. Drum, Tarzan, Tarzan, drum.
Yeah. Generate moving up and down the scale, and if you're using that isorhythm, everything you play will make sense. It'll always make sense. And it's a very easy way to start composing. Okay? And we talked about a thing last month, also, or last 2 weeks ago, called rhythmic curve. And in rhythmic curve, she's going da 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 like that. All I have to do is take this and find a bass line that I want to use as my reference for one or do, and think, where does this first note start? You started on 1 to 10. So she started right there on that line. So all I have to do is take this now and go, just give me the first measure. Okay, so she went 1, so this comes down here. Dum, bum, 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 up, 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 down, down. And then just lay in the rest of the symbolism. See, and now we turn this into something with a shape that's shaped kind of like the melody. And we don't have to have these intervals right yet because we don't have enough lines and spaces out here to worry about that. We can do that at our instrument. We can sit down with the instrument. But if I wrote this on a piece of paper, if I were on a crosstown bus, I could go home, start on the number 1, try this rhythm with this shape, and putz around until I actually found what was in my head. So this gives me a way to remember these little melody lines that I have in my head while I'm on a bus. All right? Okay, let's take another example of a simple isorhythm. Let's use Tarzan, drum, alligator, drum.
5 beats?
Well, bum, bum, time it would be above. So we go bum. Now where did the next note go? Down or up? Bum, 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 bum. Back up. And bum, 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 bum. It was kind of in between. Bum, bum, bum. So this one here is actually higher. Bum, bum, bum. Bum. Da, 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 da. So it goes da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Down, 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 up, down. All right. And now all we have to do is attach the rest of the symbols. Put the flags on. Da 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 da. Got that? Bum 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 bum. So I have that camera. Thank you. So we took this Tarzan drum, alligator drum. We played something on the piano. We said it started about 5, so I went up as high above the line as 5 would be bum 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 bum. And again we have the rhythmic curve here. Then I can go home. I can give myself a note here and say this starts on 1. I can say this started on 5. And then what I do is when I get home, I go to the number 5 and then I try to pick this out. Now I might not get it back exactly, I might get something else, but I'm sure that whatever else I get, it'll be something that I eventually settle on that I like. So it doesn't matter if I don't get exactly the same thing when I get home. But this will help aid your memory. So if you do this, if you do rhythmic curve with some melody you have in your head, you have a really good chance, once you get on an instrument, to find it and remember what it was. Now, if you're jotting down 30 or 40 rhythmic ideas with 30 or 40 little rhythmic curves because you're going to write a whole piece, then it's really important that you use rhythmic curve like this and put together a lot of these little things so when you get back to the house, you will use them as a memory aid to refine them because believe me, you can't remember 30 things that you jammed when you're on a bus going to Dallas, going from San Francisco to Dallas, Texas. And you got about a day and a half grueling bus ride to write something. So this rhythmic curve is the way to get. Now we're pushing the rhythm into a melody, and actually it's easier to do that than it is the other way around. If you're singing something and then you try to figure out what it is, okay, you can sit and figure out the intervals, or you can sit and work out the rhythm, but it's hard to do both at once until you've gotten really comfortable with both systems, working with both systems. Now you can see we take the rhythm, we make it an iso rhythm, we jam it in the scale, and then we push it around to create the melodic shape called rhythmic curve of what we're doing. So this is the way to work this stuff into writing. You want to learn to write, do it in these phases. Write rhythms that jam. Then sit down and hum these rhythms until some tune comes to you. Then push the rhythm around into a rhythmic curve. Then go sit down at the piano or the saxophone or your tuba, whatever it is, and then play melody in whatever key you want to play melody in, and see if you can rediscover that melody that was in your head that you were thinking of, that came out of playing with the iso rhythm. Fastest way I know of writing music. Okay? And again, you can stick with one of these rhythms for 42 measures.
What do you mean by iso rhythm?
Just that. The word iso meaning isolation or isolated. Iso rhythm. That's correct. So just before you walked in the door, I mentioned what was the first Bach piece we looked at last week. Da 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 da. Change there. Da 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 da